Have you gotten your vaccine shot yet? If not, you will soon. President Biden says there's going to be enough to go around for every American by the end of May. Still, some are generally wary of vaccines, and there is new controversy about the Johnson & Johnson formula, which was developed with fetal cells way back when. So those who are strongly pro-life are torn by this. And after a year of telecommuting, and for many, a year with no work at all, when things open up, will we be welcome back at work? Let's ask attorney Sara Papantonio from the Papantonio law firm in Pensacola. Sara, for the past year, we've heard this pandemic described as unprecedented. Can an employer require an employee to get vaccinated as a condition of employment?
Holland, the short answer to that is going to be yes. Employers will be allowed to require vaccinations, but there's certainly going to be limitations to that. Now, the first thing you kind of have to clear up with this is the common mistake that it's this idea that I have rights, you can't infringe on my rights. Now, that idea of you can't infringe on my rights really only applies to government action. The government can't infringe on rights like right to privacy, speech, religion. But private businesses and organizations, they can, as long as they stay within certain parameters, like the American with Disabilities Act, the Civil Rights Act. So that means that employers can require vaccinations, but a person cannot be pressed to get that vaccination if it would be contrary to their health or their religion. But aside from that, it's likely that employers will be able to require that their employees be vaccinated.
Now, about new hires. As a long-suffering corporate manager, I learned that there are a lot of right and wrong questions and answers in job interviews. Is this the kind of thing that if I'm interviewing a job candidate, I am not allowed to bring up?
They're certainly going to have to be careful. But employers can prioritize safety if there's a direct threat of harm to the workplace. And as we've seen, COVID is definitely a direct threat. But it gets sticky when you start asking questions and pressing people about why they have or have not gotten the COVID vaccine. So those questions that get into the nature of a person's health or religion, these questions can be construed as a violation of certain employment discrimination laws. And so employers are going to have to be very, very careful about how they question in these settings.
Yeah, you mentioned the religious aspect a while ago, and this Johnson & Johnson story is intriguing for that reason. Are there other religious sticky wickets in a job interview or in the workplace generally?
Yeah, I mean, the religious aspect of whether or not a person decides to get a shot is going to be, like we said, it's going to be sticky. But what we have to recognize is that even before COVID, employees did have the right to refuse vaccines due to sincerely held religious beliefs. So that's not going to really change here. But in the cases where religion affects someone's decision to get a vaccine or not, the employer, is going to have to cater to those needs. They're going to have to take steps to ensure that the unvaccinated employee is safe in the workplace rather than deny that person employment based on those religious beliefs.
In a broader sense, now that we've become accustomed to working at home, some love it, some hate it, how about employers requiring, vaccine aside, employers requiring people to come back to work, and they may be wary, or vice versa? Is that going to be a problem as reopening reopens?
Employers have the ultimate duty of protecting the workplace and making sure that people are safe. Now, if people don't feel comfortable coming back, I can't see how an employer can make someone come back because of the threat of COVID in these cases. So employers are going to have to be, again, very careful that they're not infringing on people's health and safety.
It's times like this that the HR consultants must be cleaning up. Attorney Sara Papantonio, Papantonio law firm in Pensacola. Thank you for joining us here again in the big picture.